And I welcome everyone here for the session.
Sir, you can share your screen.
Yeah, just give me a second.
Yeah, not a problem, sir.
So I welcome back everyone, the previous candidates who have attended our previous sessions and also the new candidates for this prelude session for the winter internship, which is being organized by Petroleum Engineers Association. And this internship will go on for a month, and we will go through the topics what we will be discussing in the winter internship and how it's going to be. And this will be very similar to how we did before, but there'll be a few additions here which I'll explain later. So thanks, Nikhil, for organizing this 1 month internship. I think last time we did it for 15 days, and this is going to be a 1 month program. And here, before getting into any topic, we talk about safety, whether it is onshore or offshore, whether it is engineering or operations. Safety and quality, we give more importance to these two. For the reason safety, we have to get back home as we go out of the house in the morning. So that's very critical. And for that, we have to have quality in every work. Whatever work we do, if we maintain the quality, the success as well as the quantity is going to get back with us. So don't forget, safety and quality will help you taking you up to great heights and to get success in every job you do. So why we talk more about safety is because, or why we give this high importance to safety is, HSE plays a very crucial role in oil and gas, whether it is drilling or production. For any operations, we need safety because we're going to go and work with heavy equipment and in hostile conditions. And the risk is very high because these are all live operations. We're going to go and work where it's not like a simple manufacturing process of a repeated operation. Every time we're going to drill a well, or every time we're going to start producing a well, we're going to see new things, new risks, and new safety precautions. So the operations are always live, and because of the high risk, we talk more about safety. And how quality helps is, when we are quality conscious, we can identify the risks properly and then have a mitigation plan for it. So that even if we end up into some kind of a problem, we have a mitigation plan. That means we have already discussed about the risk and we have something lined up to stop the risk getting into a catastrophe. So any operations you do starts with safety, and when you do the engineering design, no compromise on the quality. So keep this in mind in every operation you do. Now we will get to the agenda, what we're going to do. So first, let me introduce myself, Anand Ramamurthy, and I'm basically a chemical engineer, and I've been working in the downstream industries for close to 4 years. Then I did masters in offshore engineering in UK, in the Robert Gordon University. Following that degree, I've been in this upstream business for close to 20 years. And once I got out of the industry, I've been associated with the university for teaching petroleum subjects. It's bachelor's degree and master's degree in petroleum engineering. And my experience starts with downstream operations. Then I moved up to production operations, and then moved into completions design and installation, then into drilling engineering, Further, I worked with service companies in sales, marketing, and operations management. Further, I moved up to the management role where I was managing the well construction business for Weatherford as a group product line manager as my last job. And then I moved into teaching. So if you have any doubts, I'll be able to clear it, whether it is drilling, completion, or production, or into any management questions. And I think I'll be able to answer it. If not, I will try to find out the answers for you. So let's move on to the agenda. Previously, we did two programs. One is about the well planning and engineering, which basically more into the engineering of drilling. Then we did a field development course. And now we move into the downstream or the production operations. So for that, you need to know the field life cycle. Say, suppose if you're going to develop a field or you're going to drill some wells, you're going to start producing. So we will see how the life cycle goes. Then we talk about the fundamentals. When I say fundamentals, it is about producing a well, not into anything about geology or not into about designing a well. This is about reservoir and production. How the oil is going to start its flow from the reservoir, move towards the wellbore, move up the tubing to your separator, then to your processing, then to your storage. So this is what we're going to talk, and the fundamentals will be only about the production. And when we say design, we're going to talk about the design of the completion string, because that is the key design what production engineers or petroleum engineers do inside the well. A well which has already have the casings installed. So you're going to do perforations, you're going to install the control lines, you're going to install the tubing, the production packers. At the surface, you're going to have the controls for the safety valves and install your Christmas tree. Further to the Christmas tree, once you start flowing the well, the production is going to go to the gathering station or directly to the processing facility. So at the processing facility, you will be having your stage separation, processing. When I say processing, it is basically separating water, oil, and gas and stabilizing the crude oil, which is good enough for storage and transportation. Depending on the components, what is present in the oil, in the crude oil which we produce, being salts or H2S or sand, how we're going to remove it and then stabilize the oil. So this is the production or the flow path of the oil. And when it comes to design, we're going to talk only about the completion design. Why only about the completion design is because that's where the petroleum engineers play a major role. And when it comes to the separation process, storage and transportation, more of chemical engineering candidates are going to enter in, because the processing design or the process facility design is done by the chemical engineers or the engineers who are involved in FEED and EPC. FEED is front end engineering and design. EPC is engineering, procurement, and construction. So that comes with the chemical engineers, and I'm not getting to go into the design of the separators or any processing equipment. But the operations part is being done by the petroleum engineers. So we will talk about the operations part of the surface facilities and the design of the completion equipment. Then when I say production operations, so what is this production operation? Is it just producing oil from the reservoir to the surface, or it is anything else? Then we talk about enhancement and optimization. So once you open the well is going to flow. A new formation which has got enough energy or pressure is going to flow to the surface. But when we say enhancement, how best we can increase it? Or is there any restrictions for the fluid flow which has to be removed to improve the flow? Then what is optimization? Enhancement is increasing the flow rate. Then what is optimization? So optimization is making use of the minimum resources to get that maximum production, and also to make sure the field life is extended to the maximum possible so that your recovery factor is high. So the ultimate aim is to produce the well at maximum flow rates, which can keep the well flowing for a longer duration to improve the ultimate recovery. And further to the initial recovery, we go in for enhanced recoveries, and we will discuss that also. And once the oil is at surface stabilized, it has to be kept or stored in places where it is safe. It's not that we store it same like the crude oil, same like water. There are different conditions for storage operations, and when you have to transport it, whether it is onshore or offshore, it has got limitations, and you have to understand the process of storage and transportation so that you are clear with the complete process of the production operations. And finally, the offshore operations. So how different is the offshore operations compared to onshore operations? If you have a processing facility, say stage separation, whether it is onshore or offshore, the process and the equipment are the same. But because of the offshore conditions, there might be some disturbances which has to be controlled or minimized to continue with the production operations. So what are those conditions will be discussed in the offshore operations. So this is what is going to be there in the 1 month program. And if you see, for Indian students, especially the final year students who are going to appear for the GATE exam, I'll be emphasizing a bit more very specific to the GATE syllabus. Reason is this GATE syllabus covers the subject required for the petroleum engineers to know about production operations. But there is a remaining 20% which is not covered in the GATE syllabus, but it is essential for the petroleum engineers to know, and I will cover that as well. So if anybody is planning to take up the GATE exams in 2021, specifically for the petroleum production operations topic, the topics in that syllabus will be covered here. And further to that, if you have any doubts or anything subsequent to the internship, you can contact me for any doubts. So let's go one by one in detail, a bit more in detail, so that you understand what you're going to see in the 1 month program. So when we say field life cycle, so first is the identification of the reserves. So you need to find out where the oil is. So that we call it as exploration, the search for the oil, which is present in the below the surface. So we do seismic surveys to find out the geology, the structures of the formation, and then identify the hotspots. Hotspots are places which are likely to have hydrocarbons, the traps basically, which can keep the oil as an accumulation. Then you start drilling wells in exploration. We call it as exploratory wells. And the exploratory wells are also to gather more information about the subsurface. So you will be doing a lot of formation evaluation through mud logging, through MWD logs, wireline logs, coring, that is taking formation samples, and doing DST and well testing. So all these are put under one group called as formation evaluation, which is extensively done during the exploration field process. Once you have a good success in your exploration, say you have found out oil, but you don't know the full extent of the reservoir or the full potential of the reservoir. So you try to drill a few more wells to get the correct data to do an evaluation process about the reserves. So the wells which are drilled after the exploration phase to find out the extent of the reservoir and to get more details about the potential of the reservoir, we call it as the appraisal wells. So once the exploration phase is done, the appraisal phase is complete. Then a field development plan is prepared, and then it is presented to the partners for approval. And once you get the approval, you get the license to produce oil and to sell oil. So that is where the development process becomes crucial. During the exploration phase or appraisal phase, and specifically in India, the company is not entitled to sell oil. The oil which is produced during the exploration phase and appraisal phase will be burnt down. It will not be stored. So once you have the development plan approved and you have the license to produce, you start producing your wells, and then you also start drilling your development wells, and then you develop the field. So once you develop the field, and you're going to start production. So this is where our internship is going to come in detail, the production phase. So the wells are ready. You have the surface facilities to get the oil to the surface, and then you start producing your wells. So once you start producing your wells, crude oil is going to get to the surface. You should have a proper place to store it. And once the storage becomes full, you're going to transport it to another location for basically to the refinery for the refining and downstream process. So we're not going to talk about the refinery section or the downstream process. We're going to talk from the oil which starts flowing from the reservoir to the wellbore, from the wellbore to the surface, and to the processing facility for separation, stabilization, storage, and transportation. So what happens to these wells once the production gets complete or the recovery factor becomes very low, below your economical value? Then you stop spending money on these wells and you stop your production and you start abandoning your wells. When I say abandonment, each country has got their own abandonment regulations which has to be followed. All the facilities, whether it is surface, subsea, or subsurface equipment also to be removed, and then the land or the area has to be restored properly and handed over to the government. So this is we call it as abandonment. And globally, most of the fields which has been producing 10 plus, 20 plus years, or even 30 plus years, are still in the verge of the or end of the production regime. Still, they have not moved into the abandonment stage. The North Sea area, where the production started much earlier in the oil history, and now those fields are coming to the abandonment stage. Because of the hostile conditions, the cost of production is very high, so they have decided to abandon a few fields, and the abandonment work has started. For this abandonment to come to India is going to take much more time because of the technology which is available now, and the cost of production being much lesser in India. The production will continue with the latest technology or the upcoming technology to get more recovery. So the abandonment in India is starting in Mumbai High, where in the Panna Mukta fields, which were being operated by British Gas. But remaining fields, whatever onshore fields, there are a few fields which are in abandonment stage, but the abandonment work has not been started. Still, the revival process is there, and anyone interested in trying to use new technology and go to those fields and start production, the government is welcoming them. So this is the field life cycle, and we are going to concentrate more on the production phase. So we will get back to the production fundamentals. So when I say fundamentals, you might have studied the topics what we're going to discuss in your course, in your engineering program or in any other program. You might have studied it in bits and pieces. I'm not sure how many have put everything together to understand it completely. So that's what we're going to see today, so that you have a better understanding of what we're going to discuss during the main program. So once you have your wells drilled and the wells are having enough potential, that means it has got hydrocarbons of commercial value and it has got the energy to produce the oil to the surface, and those reservoirs identified, we're going to drill more wells. And the oil which is present in the reservoir first has to get into the wellbore. So the oil has to move from the reservoir to the wellbore. From the wellbore, the oil has to travel all the way up to the surface. At the surface, you have a choke to control the flow and to allow the oil which is being produced out of the well to the production facility or the separation process. So you have the separator where oil and gas are separated, and of course the water and other impurities are also separated. And once the oil and gas, they are separated, they are stabilized for storage. So it goes to the storage tank, or they call it as the stock tank. From here, it is transported to further for refining and for downstream activities. So this is the flow path. And at every stage, you have to understand the fundamentals or the parameters which is going to affect your production. Parameters which is going to affect the fluid flow. When I say fluid, it can be oil, water, or gas. From the reservoir, through the perforations, if the oil has to enter into the wellbore, there has to be some pressure drop. Because physics, the pressure, the liquid or the fluid flows from a higher pressure to a lower pressure. So the fluid from the reservoir has to flow into the wellbore. So the wellbore pressure supposed to be less than the reservoir pressure. Along the flow path from the reservoir to the wellbore, what are the parameters which are going to affect the flow? Being a physical parameter of the oil or the parameters of the formation itself, which is going to resist the fluid flow from the reservoir to the wellbore. How are you going to reduce it? or how we're going to improve the conditions for the oil to flow into the wellbore. That comes into the reservoir section. And of course, a part into the production side. So the reservoir engineers work with the production engineers to understand more about the reservoir to improve the conditions for a better fluid flow. Better fluid flow in the sense, fluid flow at a maximum rate with minimum pressure drop. So we call it as the drawdown. Drawdown is nothing but the delta P between the reservoir pressure and the wellbore pressure. So this drawdown has to be maintained as low as possible for better production. So during the actual course, we will see how this delta P is maintained low, or how the lower delta P helps in ultimate recovery. So once you have the low drawdown, how it is going to affect, or how is it going to impact your total production? How it is going to impact the duration of, or the life of the well? Next, once it comes into the wellbore, you have the wellbore pressure or the flowing bottom hole pressure. Because at flowing conditions, you have a wellbore pressure. That is the flowing bottom hole pressure. How much energy is required, or how much pressure is lost from here to here, or till it gets to the choke? That depends on the flow conditions and the equipment what we use in the completion string. So this is where our design comes in play. As a petroleum engineer, you will be involved more into the completion design if you get into the completion department. And if you're into the production department, and when you're into managing the surface operations, you'll be talking more about the surface equipment, from the Christmas tree, the chokes, the lines, the separator pressures, operations, and the processing of the oil. This is where the maximum number of candidates get job in the surface production operations. When it comes to reservoir or into the completion, the number of people working on the reservoir and completion are only handful. They're going to sit in the office and they're going to be working 5 days a week and throughout the year. So the number of candidates required in the reservoir department and the completion department are less. But when it comes to the surface operations, it becomes more physical and more of heavy equipment movement, and it has to be round the clock operation, because a reservoir engineer is not going to monitor the reservoir pressure 24/7. But a production engineer or a process operator who's going to look after the production is going to be 24/7. It's not the same person, it's going to be in 2 or 3 shifts. If it is offshore, mostly it will be 2 shifts, 12 hours a day. Or if it is onshore or land operations, it's going to be 8 hours per shift. Depending on the location and connections from the closest cities, 8 hours and 12 hours shifts are decided. So the job opportunities are more in the surface production operations, because it is going to be 24/7 and it is going to be more physical work. So the number of man hours required is more here. So you employ more people, so the opportunities are more. So when it comes to the surface, we talk about the Christmas tree. Further to the Christmas tree, we talk about the choke. A choke is a very simple equipment which is used to control the flow and to maintain the pressure upstream of the choke, upstream in a sense before the choke, which decides the flowing bottom hole pressure and indirectly the drawdown. So you control the drawdown for every well using this choke at the surface. So choke is the first place where you will be able to control the flow or the pressure. The first there are many restrictions here, but there are restrictions. They cannot be controlled or manipulated. But the choke is a place where you're going to control it and manipulate it to make sure that your drawdown is kept at minimum, so that you have your productivity at very high numbers. And at the downstream, you maintain your the separator pressure for proper stage separation. So when we talk about stage separation, it's not one separator which is there. It is done in 3 stages. As a rule of thumb, based on the experience and the economics, 3-stage separation is the standard process where you can go around the world and you can see the production facilities. When I say 3-stage, the choke pressure or the pressure before the choke is reduced to a certain limit in the first stage. From the first stage, the pressure is further reduced to the second stage. And further, it is reduced to atmospheric pressure in the third stage. Whether the reservoir pressure is 3000 or 5000, whether the well is 1000 meters deep or 5000 meters deep, the third stage pressure is always atmospheric pressure. So that is how the system is designed. So based on the reservoir pressure, your drawdown is controlled. Based on your completion design, your pressure drop. At the choke, you control the flow to maintain the reservoir pressure and to have a minimum drawdown to improve the life of the well. And downstream of the choke, you have separators in 3 stages, where the third stage is always at atmospheric pressure. Stabilized oil, that is what we call stock tank. Stock tank condition is nothing but oil which can be stored at atmospheric pressure. So when we compare the stock tank oil and the reservoir oil, so every barrel of oil which is coming out of the reservoir, it's going to have water, it's going to have gas, it's going to have dissolved gas and oil. So the design is made such that the stock tank oil is maximized. When I say maximized, from 1 barrel of reservoir oil, how much oil you're able to store at the stock tank conditions. So it has to be more. If your operations are incorrect, if your design is not proper, if your pressure maintenance is not correct, still you will get oil. You will get stabilized oil, but the quantity will be less. So when you start doing your optimization, enhancement, you improve the amount of oil which is coming out of the well. Optimization is how best you maintain the parameters so that you get maximum oil from that 1 barrel of reservoir oil. Or in formation factor, how much reservoir barrels is required to produce 1 stock tank barrel of oil. If you use 2 barrels at reservoir conditions and produce 1 barrel here, it is only 0.5. But you have to make it more and more. A 0.7, 0.9 are better numbers compared to 0.5. So that all depends on the production operations. Even with a tight reservoir, a reservoir which is not having a good quality crude oil, with better optimization, you can improve your recovery factor and you can improve the quantity of oil you are getting at the stock tank conditions. That is what is the production operations. So you have to understand the fundamentals about the pressure drop across each point, then about the completion design, and about the surface. So when we talk about the design, equipment design, we are not going to do any design about the line size or the separators or the flow parameters here. This is all done by process engineers, chemical engineers, not by petroleum engineers. If a petroleum engineer gets a job in this company and if he is trained to do it, then a petroleum engineer will be doing this job, design. But in ideal conditions, a petroleum engineer will be working on the reservoir, on the wells, completions, and the surface operations here, not on the design of the separators. So when we talk about equipment and design, we'll be concentrating more on the well completion. So if you have to design a completion string, the equipment which are required to produce the well, for further workover, for any problems, you need to know the reservoir conditions, you need to know the surface facilities, you should have good knowledge about the casings and tubing, what you're going to use, what perforation techniques you're going to use, and then about the completion equipment or the tools, the flow control equipment. How are you going to control the flow here? When I say control, it's not to control the pressure. It is only to facilitate the operations. You are not going to reduce or you're not going to control the flow or pressure. For controlling the oil flow rate, it is only at the choke at the surface. This flow control is sliding sleeves, gas lift mandrels, which are basically to circulate and enhance the production, not to control the flow. Then the subsurface safety system, the subsurface safety valves, which will have a control line coming to the surface. In any emergency, when the pressure is lost, the safety valve will close. It will not allow any fluid to come above the safety valve. This is for the safety system. And the packer system is to restrict the hydrocarbon flow into the annular section. With this packer, the oil flow will happen only through the tubing. It will not come through the annulus. So what type of system you need there? What conditions you're going to install this equipment? If you're going to have sand production, depending on the formation, what type of sand control equipment you're going to use? Inflatables. Inflatable in the sense, if you have to have some work done inside the tubing, you run small equipment inside this tubing and inflate it. Liner hanger systems. Liner hanger systems will be used more with the drilling side, not with the completion side. Then about the instrumentation. When I say instrumentation, now with the technology getting developed in more of electronic side, the instrument what you're going to use inside the well for getting real-time data, for data collection, for storage, data storage, memory equipment are placed here to record temperatures, pressures, flow rates, everything. Then about the chemical injection. Depending on the formation, depending on the oil quality, depending on the chemicals which are present in the crude oil, you're going to make sure that the oil flow is not getting restricted or it is improved, enhanced. So depending on the crude quality and the formation, you use chemical injection to make sure that there is no restriction in the flow path or inside the tubing. And then finally to well servicing and workover. What will be the future requirements? So a design should take into consideration about the future work which will be carried out in the future. If you don't consider the future and do some design, it may not help. It will be a redevelopment or a recompletion. You may have to pull this completely and run a fresh completion again. So when you do the design, you have to consider all these parameters and do your design. And with this design, you do the nodal analysis. So nodal analysis is talking more about the pressure drops and at which point the pressure drop is high, or how to improve the conditions. So at every point, you talk about the pressures, right from the reservoir till it gets to the choke. You split in different parts, and then you do the analysis. That's the nodal analysis. So putting everything to production operations, this one chart will explain about production operations. It's not a single operation. If you have to do a sand control design, not every completion engineer is well versed in sand control, or not everyone is good at coil tubing operations or inflatable operations. So the requirement for manpower is huge in this production and workover side, and getting more knowledge into each area is going to take minimum 2 to 5 years. So one person is not going to be able to be a master in all these areas. A person with 30 years or 40 years experience, still he'll be master of a few areas only, not all areas. A drilling department is not going to get into the completion side. The completion department is not going to get into the production side. The operations team is not going to work in the engineering side, or the engineering people they're not going to move to the field for doing the production operations, because each department has their own functions and limitations to work. So if you want to become a master, it's going to take 40 years in a few areas, not in all areas. So if you hear anybody telling that I know everything, or I can design any equipment for oil field, it's going to be a debatable situation. So here, when we talk about drilling, once the well is drilled, it is handed over to the completion department or petroleum department, where they run the completion. And then once the well is completed, they activate the well, they flow the well to the surface. And once the well starts flowing, it is handed over to the production department. And the production department is going to keep the well in producing conditions for quite number of years, for more number of years. The drilling people and the completion people are going to be there with the well maximum 2 months. Or if there is any issues, if there is any intervention required, the completion team will come in, or the drilling team will come in. But the custodian of the well is the production department. So any variation in the parameters or any change in the well production has to be noted down on an hourly basis to make sure you are observing the well continuously, so that the production is always maintained at the required rate. If the production is maintained at the required rate as given by the reservoir engineers, the reservoir conditions are going to be very stable, and the pressure drop at the reservoir is gradual. If the pressure drop at the reservoir is going to be steep, then the reservoir pressure will get to the bubble point. And once the reservoir pressure gets to the bubble point, there's going to be more of gas coming into the wellbore. So this we will discuss in detail during the program, how the pressure maintenance is done, why the reservoir pressure has to be maintained above bubble point, what are the ways employed to maintain the reservoir pressure, water injection, gas injection. To improve the production, you go for enhanced recovery, water flooding, chemical injection, polymer injection. So all these techniques will not be used in every well. Depending on the field conditions, depending on the formation, depending on the crude oil quality, depending on the reservoir pressure, the best technology is very checked and it has been employed to improve the conditions. And when we talk about production operations, when we do separation here, there's going to be water coming out of the well, and that well water is separated. They call it as the produced water, and this water cannot be disposed of just like that. It has to be treated. So there has to be a treatment plant. Once we have the treatment plant, there's going to be design, there's going to be operations, and the produced water is treated before it is disposed of, or sometimes it is cleaned up and it is pumped back into the well where you have water injection wells. Similarly, the gas, it is transported, or sometimes it is used for gas injection or for gas lift operation. So this is all decided in the field development plan, and the production team is going to execute the development plan. And when it comes to storage and transportation, it's more of chemical engineers and mechanical engineers, because the storage is physical storage. There's not going to be any high dynamic conditions at the storage yard. When it comes to metering, a little bit of operations are involved. And when it is transportation, depending on whether it is onshore or offshore, depending on the mode of transportation, whether it is through tankers, that is by road, or by railways, it depends. Or if it is offshore, whether it is through pipelines or through shuttle tankers, it varies. So everywhere, petroleum engineers are required, and they have to have knowledge of this complete production operations. You need not be a master of it, but you have to know the operations, you have to know the fundamentals and basics. That's what we will cover in this 1 month workshop. To simply put the line diagram, the oil or gas which is going to come to the surface, it is separated into oil, gas, oil, and water. Water is treated, it is disposed of or re-injected. Oil, once it is separated, it is treated. That is stabilization. And it is stored and it is exported or transported. Gas, because gas is compressible, and gas transportation, you have to compress it because the volumes are very high at low pressures. So you compress it or you increase the pressure so that the transportation becomes easier. The problem where you get stuck with gas transportation or gas operations is in dehydration. You have to do it because there is always moisture or carried away liquid in the gas, and this has to be dehydrated. That means it should not have moisture or any liquid. So once that is done, then it is ready for export or re-injection. Any gas which is coming out of these operations should have a flare system. Any production facility will have a flare system. This is a safety system. Any gas which cannot be handled or which escapes this process goes into the flaring system and it is flared. The intention is to keep a flare burning all the time as minimum as possible. It's not that just because there is a flare system, you cannot open up the unwanted gas and flare it. The unwanted gas is sent back and treated, and it is sent back into the mainstream, not to the flare system. So everything you see here requires petroleum and chemical engineers. And when it comes to more of transportation and area, it is of mechanical engineers. And all the design of this equipment is done by process engineers or chemical engineers. So next, when we talk about enhancement, So we are talking about enhancement and optimization. What is it, or what is that you will be doing there? Just to have a quick understanding in it. Surface production. That is all the surface equipment. You have to have knowledge about it, right? From the choke, then you will have the separators, sorry, the manifolds. And when you say manifold, there has to be different types of valves for diverting, controlling, shutting off the flow. There are different types of valves which are required: mechanical valves or control valves. So from the manifold, it goes to the separator, and each separator has its own design. It's not an empty vessel. There are many components inside the separator, so which is designed for that quality of crude oil, so that the separation process happens uh, efficiently, because the retention time of this crude oil inside the separator is crucial. Only then it will allow the separation to happen. If it comes out very quickly, then the separation won't be proper. So for that, what are the equipment you're going to have inside it? Because the operation team should know the complete knowledge of the uh, equipment which are inside the components of the separator. Because if there is a pressure drop, or if there is a pressure reduction or increase in pressure, you should be able to identify what is causing this trouble. So you need to have a complete knowledge about the uh, surface equipment, and also the pumps. When I say pumps, you need to talk about the utility section also, because for surface operations, you require water, you require air, compressed air, and you require uh, uh, hot oils, demineralized water. So all this come under the utility section. So the utility section is again in refinery side, the utility section is one big portion, cooling towers. So you need to have knowledge about the downstream also. So if you have the knowledge about the equipment and the procedures, then the problem identification or troubleshooting becomes easier. When there is an intermittent flow happening, you need to understand whether it is happening inside the reservoir or it is happening at the choke. So based on the parameters, you should be able to identify it. So when you talk about enhancement, acidizing, because the chemicals which are present in the crude oil may get deposited, may get precipitated, and it will start building scales in the tubing or in the flow lines or in any part of the flow path. So that should be avoided. Next, when I say acidizing, if the precipitation is happening in the reservoir itself, then the oil is not going to flow inside the wellbore. So you're going to pump acid inside the formation to make sure that this precipitates, basically salt, is dissolved, so that the flow path is clear. If it is happening inside the equipment, to avoid it, you go in for chemical injection. You add chemicals in the flow along the flow path and mix it with the crude oil, so that the precipitation is avoided or the deposition is avoided. It becomes smaller particles so that it is transported out of the well. It comes to the surface, because handling this dirt at the surface is much easier than handling at the completion side. So when we say enhancement, the reservoir has got potential, it has got more oil, but the permeability is very less. There's good porosity, there's more amount of oil, but the permeability is less. It's very tight reservoir. The flow is getting restricted. So you try to fracture it or make the permeability more. Or in some cases, because of the drilling activities, the wellbore, near wellbore formation gets damaged, formation damage. And because of this formation damage, the flow is restricted. They call it as the skin. The skin, if the skin factor is high, the flow is getting restricted. So you try to go in and do some fracturing to increase the flow path, to increase the permeability, or to reduce the skin factor so that the flow is improved or enhanced. And what are the mechanical operations you do in the completion and inside the wellbore to enhance the production? Then the flow rate optimization. So when I say optimization, it is basically pressure, main pressure maintenance. By maintaining the reservoir pressure or getting the pressure drop or keeping the pressure drop minimum, the reservoir conditions are improved and the optimization becomes easier. If the drawdown is very high, the productivity is very less. Because if you see the productivity formula, the drawdown comes as a denominator. So the higher the drawdown value, lesser the productivity. So these, we will look into it, and there are some formulas, and then there are some calculations to be done to calculate the productivity of the wells, where you can understand it better. And there might be some gate questions in doing some calculations for all this. And these questions or the problems will be given as handouts at the end of the week so that you can work it out at your leisure time. And if you have any doubts, we can get it clear. Then the pressure support. When I say pressure support, the optimization is different from the pressure support. If you have to maintain the drawdown, that is from the wellbore to the surface. But when I say pressure support, we are trying to give support to the reservoir. The reservoir pressure is going to reduce as we keep producing. So at one point of time, you have to give pressure support to the reservoir so that it does not fall freely, or fall freely in the sense it's not going to drop drastically and get to the bubble point. So the intention of the reservoir engineer is always to keep the reservoir pressure as high as possible. He will not allow you to open the choke. But as a production engineer, you want more production. So your intention will be to open the choke to produce more. So you come to an agreement with the reservoir engineer. What is the optimum production rate? If you have to increase it, you have to give pressure support at some point of time during the life of the field. So then we talk about storage, transportation, and this becomes critical more of offshore conditions, because offshore storage is more critical. Onshore, you can build storage tanks much easier than offshore conditions. It has to be shuttle tankers or pipelines. There are some vessels like FPSO where they are self-contained storage. It can do production operations, it can do the processing, and also store the crude oil. FSO storage, there has to be a processing facility and a storage facility. If both are combined, it becomes FPSO. If you have to have a FSO, floating, storage, and offloading vessel, then you have to have the mooring system, you have to have support vessels, crude transfer lines, that is transferring the crude oil from the production facility to the FSO, from the FSO to the shuttle tanker. And you have to have offloading support. Every time the shuttle tanker comes in, you're going to do, or you're going to transfer the oil from the FSO to the shuttle tanker. If it is pipelines, if it is onshore conditions, it's much easier. The pipe now onshore pipelines are much easier to install compared to offshore lines. If it is offshore, whether they are rigid pipelines or flexible flow lines, flexible pipelines. If it's going to be at the shallow waters or in deep waters, depending on that, this is decided. And you need to have a terminal where you can receive the oil, whether it is coming through tankers or through pipelines. You need to have an onshore terminal to collect it and store it, and then transport it to the refinery. So there's a lot of physical activity or physical work required here, with more equipment, where the job opportunities are more. Then specific, if it is offshore conditions, hostile conditions, so you need to understand how it's going to affect your production operations. If you're on a floating vessel and if it is a production operations going on, if the floating vessel starts moving more, the level in the separator is not going to stay at the same level. It's going to move up and down, where it will affect your production operations. Your separation retention time is going to be affected because of the movement. The pressures is going to be vary, and the oil and water mixing will happen. So you have to understand how the same separator, which is working in onshore, it's getting affected because of offshore conditions. So you need to have a basic knowledge about the facilities and offshore structures. Then about the drilling and operating limits. Why? Because when they do drilling, they're going to use drilling fluids. And this drilling fluids may do more damage to the reservoir. And if the well is not producing, you're going to go and do acidizing or fracturing to clean up the damage which is done by the drilling people. So you need to be involved. The production team or the completion team will be involved in drilling activities, not directly, but they will be participating in meetings and discussions and in the programs, so that anything which is going to affect you can be stopped at the source itself. You can tell the drilling team that because of using this type of chemicals in the drilling fluid, it's going to react with the formation and is going to do some permanent damage to the producing zone. So you have to make sure that the reservoir, the drilling fluids which are used in the reservoir section will not affect your production. Then about production and processing, it's the same. Only thing is the hostile conditions, how it's going to affect your operations. Storage and transportation, we already discussed. Then about the logistics. Logistics is moving equipment from one place to another as per law. You follow all the rules and regulations and move the equipment. It's not just transportation. Transportation is a part of logistics. If you have to pump crude oil, do you have the license? Are you operating within the limits? Are you pumping only as per the contract, not pumping more? So everything comes under logistics. So for every operation you do, there is a contract with the other companies, and you go as per the contract, or what type of transportation you're going to do, how you're going to carry out the activities. Is there any local regulation or any changes which has to be followed? So this all comes in logistics. Okay, with this we get to the end of the session.